All right. It's RamView.
It's hot out there, but let's blow them off the line of scrimmage. Headline, Los Angeles.
Live from the RamCave, I'm Joe Trozine, and this is RamView, the April 4th, 2025 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident? Need help? Got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word. KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair. Having some auto issues? Get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. All right, not a whole lot of breaking news, stuff happening. Just going to go rehash over some old stuff. We're going to look at the Rams roster again. We're going to look at a mock draft. We're going to remember Tom Dempsey and what Tom Dempsey is entwined with in regards to the Rams' NFL history, not having anything to do with the 63-yard boot in 1970. But before I got to that, I was expecting something good out of the rules changes, right? They modified sudden death. They did a little bit of this here and there, but they really didn't do anything big. I played with the kickoff. Like, I got a choice of kicking off, having it returned for a touchdown, or I could just have them take the ball at the 35. I don't think that's punitive enough, right? It's just, I don't get what they're doing. All I want for rules changes, to tell you the truth, they can keep the tush push. All I want for rules changes is I want sudden death with modified pass interference penalty. I think that's the joke. The joke thing, it's a joke. They don't review it. The pass interference decides games, decides seasons, because it's a spot foul. And it's such a subjective call. It's not available for review. They tried it for 1 year and got rid of it. They really need to make it 15 yards and a first down, unless it's a blatant takedown, at which point then you can do a spot. That's the one I want changed, because it's ridiculous. And then keep sudden death, right? You had 4 quarters to prove it. And you can hear all the crud that, well, the team that gets the ball always wins. No, Rams went to Super Bowl 53 in overtime because they didn't get the ball first. They made a play. So keep sudden death. You can modify it a little bit for the playoffs, but as always, there's always these NFL meetings, they just leave you lacking. But what's not lacking, and what I've just been absolutely amazed in, is reactions I've seen from other folks, other places in the KBM, also on our boards, is the Ram fans seem to have gone full quarter flash, right? They've hardened their hearts. They've swallowed their tears. I think the departure of Cooper Kupp has been some Rubicon that everyone has kind of passed over, to where no one seems to have any emotion anymore, because I love the responses I got. I said the max I would give Kyren Williams is 3 years, 39, 13 a year. Right? And man, people are saying, get rid of him if he wants more. No, we don't need him. We can move on. There's other running backs to take. We got Blake Corum. And usually Ram fans are very maudlin. We wept when Bobby Trees left, right? We are sad when Todd Gurley got released, right? Aaron Donald, organization didn't have anything to do with that. He kind of left on his own. There was even some sadness when Leonard Floyd left. It was just like the end of things. Jalen Ramsey, we were bummed about that. But Cooper Kupp is gone. Everyone cried their tears. And now it feels like Ram fans are coming into the new world, right? It feels like they've grown up. It's like, yeah, this is what the game is. Players come, players go, and there's nothing you can do about it.
They come and they go, Hobbs. They come and they go.
Absolutely. They come and they go, and they come and they go. Speaking of coming and going, former Rams making news today. The Bears have signed Case Keenum. Yeah, Case Keenum, who finished his 3rd tour of duty with the Texans this past year. He had 2 tours of duty with the Rams, Vikings, Broncos, tack skins. He's been all over the place. He is now the Bears' backup quarterback. I think that's a pretty good move. That's a pretty good move. A veteran there, provide a lot of input to Caleb Williams. You know, you don't survive as a career backup if you're a douchebag. You survive because you can play a little bit, you can move the chains, and because you're good in the quarterback room, and that's obvious about Case Keenum. I like all those things about Case Keenum. I just didn't like Case Keenum as a starter for the Rams. All right, former Ram blocking tight end Corey Harkey. Remember Corey Harkey out of UCLA? Played about 5 years with the Rams. 2016 was his last year. Well, he went into coaching, and I really like Corey Harkey because he just did his job. And Corey Harkey is a special teams quality coach. He was hired by the Packers today. Sean Mannion, former Rams backup quarterback, was hired as a quarterback coach. And then here's one right there. I'm sorry, did I say Corey Harkey was a quarterback coach? No, special teams quality control coach. There we go. And then Sean Mannion as a quarterback coach. And then this name from Rams history. This guy started 3 games for the Rams in 2022. He was at the epicenter of the 2022 offensive line chainsaw massacre. Anyone remember Jeremiah Colon? Jeremiah Colon was just hired by LaFleur in Green Bay as offensive assistant, minority fellowship. They have a special slot there because he's a minority. And Jeremiah Colon's back in the NFL. That's pretty interesting, right? He played his 3 games for the Rams, started his 3 games. Rams said thank you, and they moved on in that season in 2022. And I thought he went back to Home Depot. I didn't know. But he got another job in the NFL. So good for Corey Harkey, good for Jeremiah Colon, good for Sean Mannion. And I wonder if Sean Mannion becomes a head coach in the NFL, is he considered part of the McVay coaching tree? Any of those guys? That would be pretty interesting. All right, USA expat. No extension for Kyren. Let him prove his worth in his last year. Draft another future running back. Just keep him coming, right? Just keep him coming and coming and coming. I do agree. I love this callousness that I'm seeing with Rams fans. All right. Let's see. We got stuff to talk about here. Dealing with the Rams. Okay, I've been talking about the Cardinals and how the Cardinals have improved. And I think the Cardinals are the team the Rams have to be concerned with. We don't know who's going to be blocking for Brock Purdy. I think Brock Purdy's a better quarterback than Kyler Murray, but we don't know who's going to be blocking for him. We don't like a lot of things about the 49ers right now. You know, he might even lose his job to Mac Jones. You never know. Then you got the Seahawks. You got Sam Darnold, and that just feels like that's a organization that's just not ready just yet. The Cardinals, on the other hand, Kyler Murray is a competent quarterback. He's not great. He's a splash player. But this is what they did. Not only did they just extend tight end Trey McBride 4 years, 76 rocks, they brought in on defense Josh Sweat, Dalvin Tomlinson to plug the middle, and Calais Campbell to add to the line. They've done some really good stuff. A quality backup in Jacoby Brissett. They brought back Baron Browning, an edge player, and Evan Brown along the offensive line. I don't think too much of that. But the Cardinals are getting ready to make a run. We saw that 2 years ago. We saw it last year. And just keep an eye on the Cardinals. That's the team that if any team gives the Rams real fits in 2025 within the division, it's going to be Arizona, unless they go full Arizona. It is the Bidwell family, right? There's always a possibility that something bad could happen with them. Let's see, Bill. Kyren Williams fumbles really bother me. If they traded him, I would not be mad. Yeah, not much emotion there with Kyren Williams for a lot of you folks. I think he's going to fix this fumble thing. That's my belief. I think he's going to fix it. I think a couple years he gets extended, let's just say. A couple years are going to pass, and we're going to go, yeah, remember when Kyren had that fumbling spell? I think it's going to pass if they keep him. He's got to be motivated to want to stay. He's a running back, right? My guess is take a little less to stay with a team that's going to be competing every year. Stay in the system that you know. Keep getting those playoff checks and extend your career. We've seen a lot of guys. They go and they get their dough, and then they play one season someplace, and then they're put in the street. And he's a 5th-round player. He's a 5th-round talent who's gotten the most out of his body right now, and he should be happy taking a little less than what the market might entice him with, and then play longer for the Rams and make up that money that way, let alone all the other stuff you get from living in LA and possibly being, marketing and all that. Manuel Vasquez, got your email, Manny. Got your email. A lot of Rams players have left, don't succeed after the Rams. So it's McVay's system and the Donald effect, and it's making it easier to let players go. I think there's a lot to that, because look how the Rams just keep milking a lot of stuff out of these guys, right? Again, they come in, they put the horns on, and Rams get what they need from them and move on, right? I mean, think about this. 2018, the Rams starting corners were Marcus Peters and Aqib Talib. By mid-season of 2019, the Rams had moved off of both of those guys. Now, those guys made their names in other places, right? Peters with the Chiefs, Talib with the Bucks and the Patriots. That he got a ring there, and for one season they're there, and then it's like, yeah, by mid-season, okay, I think we're done, and the Rams just moved off them. Rams are cold-blooded killers when it comes to this stuff, and again, we might not like it because it offends our 21st century sensitivities, but the truth is that's how you keep winning, and the Rams are good examples of that. Manuel Vasquez, Kyler Murray will always be the Cardinals' Achilles heel. I agree. I don't think Kyler Murray, I think that's where they're going to hit the crossroads. He's going to be just good enough to make them competitive and get them 9 wins. Maybe they eke out 10, but he's never going to be good enough or consistent enough. He's got the talent, but is he ever going to be consistent enough to get to a conference final? That's the one that I'm curious about. USA Expat, a home run threat running back would make pass action 100 times more powerful. Yeah, and there's a lot of guys out there that Manny Correa keeps throwing at me in terms of running backs that are out there. And yeah, I agree with you. I agree. And again, will be talked about on Wednesday. The better the Rams offense is, the better their defense is going to be, because their defense won't have to be perfect, right? It can be less than perfect. All right. Around the NFL and other places, Chargers signed Trey Lance. Wow. Trey Lance, second organization gave up on him, which was the Cowboys. And now he signed with the Chargers. There was news that he was going to go to Saskatchewan in the CFL, chose to come to the Chargers. Who's he going to battle for? With Easton Stick? Right now, he's not even looking like a second string quarterback. Trey Lance is a third string. Trey Lance should find a way. I don't know. Does the NFL do this? I mean, can you allocate a player to the UFL? He just needs to play. He just needs to play, and then all the mystery will be resolved. He should be on a UFL roster. That's what he should be doing. I guess it's too late for that. Dallas Cowboys acquired quarterback Joe Milton III and a 2025 7th-round pick from the Patriots in exchange for a 2025 5th-round pick. Milton is insurance, highly athletic. He's the insurance for Dak Prescott. I saw this thing on Dak Prescott talking about, his skill set and how good he looks and his health, and he's great shape. I don't think there's ever been an issue about Dak Prescott being a leader. He's not a finger pointer. I don't think there's ever been an issue about Dak Prescott being in shape. He just doesn't have what it takes. He just comes up short in the postseason, and that's why I think he's the perfect Cowboys quarterback. And I love that they're going to give him, gazillions of dollars, right? Just to keep him there, because the Cowboys are so mismanaged. They've just kept overpaying him, but it's not a question of whether the dude's in shape or he's high character dude or a good leader. It's the question of he's just not a great quarterback, right? He's not a great quarterback. Put him in Arizona and he'd have the same limitations. We've seen him with great teams. You put him in Arizona, he's probably the same guy. Maybe once every few years he gets a first-round playoff win, but he's going to miss that open receiver when it counts in the divisional round, or if he ever got to the conference final, he'd miss that receiver. It's just who he is. Okay, free agents that are still out there, unless Aaron Rodgers has joined the Pittsburgh Steelers yet. Aaron Rodgers, Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper, Von Miller, and Zadarius Smith, James Bradbury, Kendall Fuller. Asante Samuel and Rasul Douglas. Samuel and Douglas, both their market values, I shared this on Wednesday, are 4 years, 45. That means 11 rocks a year. Yeah, that's a bit pricey for someone that you might be able to sign in August. So keep an eye on that. Julio Jones officially retires as a wide receiver in the NFL. I liked Julio Jones. I remember draft day. I was really hoping the Rams could figure something out to get him paired with Sam Bradford. And of course, that never materialized. All right, let's see what we got here. Bill, I was shocked to see that McVay was interviewed by Mike Florio. You know what? I didn't see that. I have a tendency, I don't look at Florio anymore. I just don't. Isn't that what? It's probably bad on my part. I probably should. But yeah, I just don't look at Florio. To me, Florio is just, Florio's kind of cringe to me. There we go. USA expat. Von Miller could make a good interim outside linebacker coach for us. How about an outside linebacker slash coach? How about a player coach, right? If he wants to chase a ring, if he wants to get one more run, right? Be that voice in the room. One of the things that's kind of been unsung that we haven't talked about was, if you remember during the Rams postseason run, I believe it was, to the Super Bowl. Of course, it had to be. Von Miller, I think they said he had to speak to Aaron Donald and tell Aaron Donald that you're the leader of this team. You've got to be more vocal. And this is a guy that's a Hall of Famer in Von Miller, that his ego was saying, hey, yeah, this is Aaron Donald's team. I'm along for the ride. But he was telling Aaron Donald, you got to speak up. And that just shows a lot of leadership. And again, I don't think Von Miller wanted to leave the Rams after the Super Bowl, but the truth was 6 years, 133 rocks. You got to take it, right? You got to take it. I'd take it. I'd enter the transfer portal right now if someone was offering me that kind of money. Is there a transfer portal for old sports writers? There we go. Okay. I'm Joe Chirosian, a sports writer for 21 years. I'm contributing to Mid-Valley Sports these days. You can check out my column. My latest column, RamView, is up on midvalleysports.com. Also, you can check out Voltage, which is the Chargers notes that is posted there. The guys that run Mid-Valley Sports, Tim Peterson and Dwayne Barker, they're in the room. They cover the Chargers and the NFL. You can read Tim Peterson just posted a Voltage today. And, of course, our Ram stuff is there. You could also read a little bit of what Tim Burns writes for us in football and baseball. You can check all of that out there. And that's funny, Bill. Yeah, Julio Jones retired 3 years ago, no production. Yeah, and he didn't tell anybody, He says, I was retired, but he kept taking those checks, and nobody seemed to know it. There's some truth there. So anyway, but we do RamView now. I do RamView thanks to our sponsors at Kistler Law, and I write books, and my books are on Amazon. You can check them out there. And every time you buy a book, every time you contact Kistler Law, when you got an auto accident issue, you support us, support me. My day job is I pastor a small church in Burbank called Burbank Faith Nazarene, and we're right here on YouTube at the Burbank Faith Virtual channel, as well as burbankfaithvirtual.com, Burbank Faith Virtual, all across social media. I'm also one of the directors of Outsiders Camps for young people. And that's why sometimes during the summer, you'll see me in odd places doing a quick version of RamView on the road. So thank you for your support. We appreciate it. Please check us out on Spotify from the RamCave. And it really helps all of us. So no PayPal account, no Patreon account, no PayPal. I do have a PayPal. No paywall account and no Patreon. So your support really, really does help us. All right, let's look at this here real quick. Let's see. Rams quarterback room. Matthew Stafford, Jimmy Garoppolo, Stetson Bennett. Rams have interviewed Quinn Ewers and Jalen Milroe. All right, there we go. They've also interviewed Louisville quarterback Tyler Shaw. So there's 3 quarterbacks they've interviewed. Running back room, right now it's Kyron Williams, Blake Corum, Cody Schrader, Ronnie Rivers, and yes, on the roster, he was signed to a futures contract, Royce Freeman. Who did the Rams interview at running back here? Let's see. The Rams have interviewed Cam Scatabo and Jarquez Hunter, running back from Auburn. 5'10", 209, physical, north-south running back. Those are the guys that the Rams have interviewed for the running back room. Wide receivers, Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, Jordan Whittington, Tutu Atwell. Practice squad players, Drake Stoops, Quintez Cephas, Xavier Smith. In terms of who the Rams have interviewed at wide receiver, sad to say, they haven't interviewed Jack Besh as far as we know, but they have interviewed Matthew Golden, Tez Johnson, Oregon, Trey Harris, Ole Miss, Tony Horton, Colorado State, and a guy that's really hot on the boards right now as far as going to the Rams, and it just heated up today, Isaiah Bond. Isaiah Bond, in terms of a lot of people putting traction on Isaiah Bond going to the Rams. I never saw it until Dan O last week sent us his mock draft, and he was the first time I saw the name Isaiah Bond mentioned to the Rams. All right. Tight ends, Davis Allen, Kobe Parkinson, Tyler Higbee. In terms of interviews, the Rams have interviewed Tyler Warren, Gunnar Helm, Mason Taylor, Colston Loveland, Thomas Findone from Nebraska, Mason Taylor, LSU. Let's see here. Offensive line, we've got the offensive line. We got Bo Limmer, Coleman Shelton, Dylan McMahon, Kevin Dodson, Steve Avila, Justin Diedick, Katie Livingston, Alaric Jackson, Rob Havenstein, Warren McClendon. As of right now, Connor McDermott is not back, and we've got A.J. Akuri. Names that the Rams have interviewed on the offensive line, not a whole lot. Torricelli Simpkins III, Oregon. Kelvin Banks, Texas, left tackle. He's not going to be there when the Rams draft. The Rams would have to move up to get him. But those are the only names that appeared. And Georgia center, Jared Wilson. Depending on where the Rams grabbed Jared Wilson, if they did, that would tell us a lot about what they think of their room with their centers. Defensive interior, Braden Fisk, Puna Ford, Tyler Davis, Kobe Turner, DeJuan Johnson, Corey Durden, Laurel Murchison, David Olajiga. Players the Rams have interviewed that play along that defensive front. Shamar Turner, Texas A&M. He's the big name there. I'm looking at all these other names here, and he's the only inside guy that they have interviewed right now at that position. Texas A&M, Shamar Stewart, really talented guy. I don't think we'd be upset if he got drafted. Cornerback, Kobe Durant, Josh Wallace, Charles Woods, Darius Williams, Emmanuel Forbes, Darian Kendrick, Sean Jolly, A.J. Green, Cam Lampkin. Okay, we talked about Russell Douglas and Sante Samuel being out there. In terms of who the Rams have interviewed, we know they've interviewed Dorian Strong, Virginia Tech, and Zy Alexander, LSU. I also had somewhere where they did speak to Maxwell Harrison, the Kentucky guy. Can't find it right now, but I've seen that. Let's look at linebackers, Omar Spates, Elias Neal, Nate Landman, Tony Fields. Linebackers they've spoken to, Stutzman, Oklahoma, Carson Bruner, Washington, and then that hybrid safety from Syracuse, Justin Barron, hybrid safety. You know, he's 6'4", 225. So he's kind of that tweener size. The Rams have interviewed him. That would be an interesting pickup. And then at safety, Rams got Cam Curl, Quentin Lake, Cam Kitchens, Jalen McCullough, Tanner Engel. I think we understand what that room is. But they've also interviewed Jonas Sanker and Malachi Starks out of Georgia, Sanker out of Virginia. There we go. And then edge, Jared Verse, Brandon Jackson, Byron Young, Nick Hampton, Keir Thomas. And let's see. Have they interviewed any edge players? Not really. Not really any edge players that I see on my list here that the Rams have interviewed. Doesn't mean they won't draft somebody. All right. That's that. Covered that list here. Picked up a mock draft from NFL.com. 5-round draft from there. And I thought it was pretty interesting. Let's see here. Cam Ward going to the Titans, number 1. Browns not drafting a quarterback, taking Travis Hunter with the 2nd overall pick. I don't know who's throwing it to him. Giants take Shedeur Sanders, number 3. I get that. Patriots take Abdul Carter. I think Abdul Carter, this guy's going to probably end up being great. But right now, I just wouldn't draft him as high as he's being drafted. Patriots need weapons for Drake May, and I don't think Abdul Carter's the answer. Number 5, Jaguars taking Michigan DT Mason Graham. Number 6, Raiders taking Ashton Genty, which seems likely since they just extended Geno Smith. So they're kind of solidifying things there in Vegas. The Jets, this was the reach of this mock draft. No trade, just at number 7, Jets taking Jackson Dart. And everyone's going to cringe and say, man, they took Jackson Dart. Remember, some of these quarterbacks last year, like Bo Nix, were projected into the second round, and that they were drafted like top 15. Bo Nix going to the Broncos. Same thing with J.J. McCarthy, kind of dropped back and moved forward. But Jackson Dart going to the Jets. That's, again, the Jets are reaching a little bit there. But you know what? We got a chance to draft a quarterback that we think could help us. That's the guy we're drafting. And he's got a full 4 years as a starter, or 3 full years as a starter, 3.5 because he started some games for USC. And he's a Lane Kiffin product. Ole Miss, played in the SEC. So it's not like drafting Zach Wilson out of BYU. I'm curious to see how that would play out. Number 8, Panthers to take Tyler Warren. Number 9, the Saints take Jalen Walker. Number 10, this was a really interesting draft pick. With all the work the Bears have done on their offensive line, they take Armand Membu out of Missouri to add some depth there. And, Johnson's making a big point there to rebuild that offensive line. Number 11, the 49ers take Will Campbell out of LSU. Campbell's been an inside the top 5 pick for this whole draft season, and this is the first time I've seen him fall to number 11 to the 49ers. Number 12, Cowboys take Tatario McMillan. Cardinals trade up with Miami and take Kelvin Banks, tackle. That makes sense for the Cardinals. Colts take Jihad Campbell, linebacker, Alabama. Falcons take Michigan cornerback Will Johnson. Dolphins trade up with Arizona and trade back with Arizona, take Jahadi Barron. A lot of guys, a guy that a lot of Ram fans want, the cornerback out of Texas. Number 17, Shamar Stewart, who the Rams have spoken to with the Bengals. To the Bengals at 17. Ohio State receiver Emeka Egbuka goes to the Seahawks at 18. Packers take Mikel Williams, edge at Georgia at 19. Colston Loveland goes to the Broncos at 20. Omarion Hampton goes to the Steelers at number 21. Chargers take Donovan Izera Uaku, the edge player from Boston College. Buccaneers trade up with Green Bay, take Nick Emanawari, the safety out of South Carolina. Chiefs might trade up with Minnesota, take Arante Irsay, the tackle out of Minnesota. Texans draft Derek Harmon, defensive tackle, Oregon. Eagles take Walter Nolan, defensive tackle, Ole Miss, in a trade with the Rams. Rams move all the way back to 32 and get a third-round pick from the Eagles in the process. Bills take Matthew Golden, and Oz Thomas goes to the Vikings at 31. And then here we get to the Rams draft. The Rams at number 32 take, let's see here if I can get that in there for you guys. All right, I can. Rams at number 32 take Isaiah Bond. We hadn't even seen Isaiah Bond inside the top 100 before last week, right? And now they've projected Isaiah Bond going all the way up 70 spots to number 32 to the Rams. We're going to trust the Rams if they do it. Number 90, they take Danny Stutzman, linebacker, Oklahoma. I don't know if that's taking into consideration Nate Landman signing. And then, interesting one I had not seen projected to the Rams. Number 96, with the Eagles pick, the Rams take Aeneas Peebles, defensive tackle, Virginia Tech. That's what they did with the Philly pick for trading back. And then number 101, Denzel Burke, cornerback, Ohio State. That sounds pretty good. And then lasting till number 127, Gunnar Helm, Texas. I thought that was a pretty interesting draft. The Isaiah Bond one. Does Isaiah Bond, I know everybody's hot for Isaiah Bond right now, but does Isaiah Bond at number 32 in the first round feel a little high? Yeah. Do you see that? Do you see that happening there? Isaiah Bond at number 32. Manuel Vasquez, do you think the Rams will ever go back to a 4-3 defense which do you prefer? I'm asking because I wasn't happy when they switched to the 3-4. It's grown on me. I like the flexibility of the 3-4. And just where these guys line up all the time. It's nothing stagnant anymore. In our heads, right? In our heads, it's Olsen, Brooks, Dreyer, Youngblood, Reynolds, Isaiah Robertson, and Jim Youngblood, Bob Brzezinski, or whoever is out there, right? Ken Geddes and stuff. And we have that look like what our box should look like, our front seven. But the world's changed so much, and you need your linebackers to run, and you just need to have that threat coming from every spot, not just the defensive end spot, but the edge, up the middle. And so I like the 3-4 because it's more flexible. Maybe if run game really comes back and becomes dominant again, you could always, move in. It's really interesting. I've lost interest on who starts games, right? During the season, I don't know if you're with me when I'm doing it, I look more at who's getting snaps, right? Who's getting the snaps, because the box is always so fluid because so many teams are running, 11 personnel nowadays. They're running those 3 receivers. And so you just never know anymore. And so much more is required of your linebacker to run. That's why the hybrid safeties, the heavy safeties, are such a big deal now. And so I prefer the 3-4. Long way around the horn there, Manny. Gilbert Gonzalez, if it goes this way, I do not see the Rams passing on a tight end from Penn State. If Tyler Warren's there, of course they're going to take him. I just don't see Tyler Warren getting past number 14. J.D. Durham, damn, good. Oh, you must like that mock draft. That was a CBS, NFL.com mock draft, a 5-round mock draft. I love the idea of moving back. I love the slot. You get number 32, and then you get number 96. I'm good. My thing is Isaiah Bond, number 32 worthy? Is Isaiah Bond worth drafting that high? That's the one that USA Expat. Isaiah Bond does not excite me one bit. I like Isaiah Bond at number 101. I don't necessarily like him at number 32. USA Expat. Vegas Raiders need to do a draft barber to give owner a new hairstyle. Yeah, but he's got a girlfriend, right? He's got a girlfriend. Have you seen Mark Davis's girlfriend? It's like Joe Jackson. It's like, is she really going out with him, right? Pretty women out walking with gorillas down my street. I don't understand, but I do. We all know, right? We know how that works. So, all right, that was fun. Let me keep working through here. All right, let's get to it. Not a lot of stuff.
It was a stone groove, my man.
On this date in 1969, the Rams hired Dick Vermeil as a special teams coach. All right. Vermeil is with the Rams in 69 and 70, and then he goes to the Patriots as an offensive coordinator in Jim Plunkett's first year. And then in 72, he comes back to L.A. On the same day in 1969, the Rams signed quarterback Johnny Walton. Now, Johnny Walton, does anyone remember who Johnny Walton is? I think he played at Elizabeth City State. I'm not sure. But Johnny Walton was a black quarterback, and the Rams signed him. And for a couple of years there, he was kind of like the Nelson Spruce Award. He played in the preseason. I think he wore number 11. 69 means, and 70 means he was with George Allen. Remember George? It was so funny. I thought, one argument that I always thought fell really face first in the ground was when some of the KBM tried to accuse George Allen of racism, and then it's Deacon Jones who gives his induction speech into the Hall of Fame for George Allen, right? And under George Allen, Johnny Walton was brought in to give a shot at quarterback. And give the Rams credit. The Rams also brought in Dr. Dave Mays, although I think I brought that up a year ago and they mentioned him as a punter. He ended up playing backup, played some games for the Browns later in the decade. And then, of course, the Rams signed James Harris after the Bills put him in the street. And so that was an interesting thing about the Rams. The Rams made those kind of moves. And, of course, we know their history with Kenny Washington, Woody Strode back in the 40s. But Johnny Walton didn't really play much in the NFL. He had a couple years as a backup for Dick Vermeil in Philly to Ron Jaworski. And then he played for the Boston Breakers of the USFL. So he did get some time in high-end pro ball. So I always had a little thing for Johnny Walton at quarterback. I liked him. On this date in 1989, Rams signed former USC cornerback Lou Brock, son of the Lou Brock. He had been a second-round pick, 53rd overall in 1987 by the Chargers, and it didn't work out for him. He had some health issues and took a final shot with the Rams, and it didn't work out, but I thought the name was important. On this date in 2000, Rams trade the sixth-round pick, 189 in 2000, to the Broncos for Derek Lavelle. Derek Lavelle never plays a down for the Rams. He had a little cup of coffee with the 49ers in the 90s. The Broncos, I believe, used that pick on Mike Anderson. I think I messed up my notes here. Mike Anderson, the former Marine. He comes into the NFL at the age of 27. He runs for 1,400 yards in 2000, scores 15 touchdowns. Then in 2005, he rushes for 1,000 yards. That was the time when everything was working so well for Mike Shanahan, right? Terrell Davis came in, Mike Anderson came in, Orlandis Gary came in. They just kept bringing in all these guys, Clinton Portis for a while, and they all were getting 1,000-yard seasons. But Mike Anderson, kind of a forgotten player in the NFL. Also on this date in 2012, Torrey Holt signs a one-day contract with the Rams to retire a Ram. And the bummer is waiting for him to get in the Hall of Fame, right? I think of Torrey Holt, who's got 2 Super Bowl appearances, 1 ring. Think of the logjam trying to get him in there at receiver. This is why I think probably a motivating factor for Davante Adams. He's got all the numbers, right? He's got all the numbers, everything that says, yeah, this guy should be a Hall of Famer. He doesn't have a ring. He doesn't even have a Super Bowl appearance. He needs something to add to his resume. So I think he's highly motivated to have that here with the Rams. On this day 3 years ago in 2022, the Rams signed Bobby Wagner for 5 years, 50 rocks. Pretty modified contract. It wasn't necessarily a big contract in terms of guarantee. Wagner played his butt off for the Rams in 2022. He was great. If he could have come in for the right price, I'd have brought him back this year. Pro's pro. He was re-signed by Washington, and he'll be playing again this year. So here's the big one. Let me see if questions came in. Right. And let's see. Gilbert Gonzalez. If Harris did not hurt his shoulder, he would have gone down as a great Rams quarterback. You know, there's such a weird thing there. Chuck Knox wanted James Harris at quarterback. It was Rosenblum that had a little bit of a problem. And then the blue-eyed, blonde-haired Southern Cal brat kid, Pat Hayden, became available. And I don't know if Rosenblum was thinking Hayden's going to be a draw. Hayden couldn't carry a candle talent-wise to James Harris. I feel like we never got to see the best of James Harris, right? Never see him got to grow into the position. His time in Buffalo was a disaster. He replaced Knox mid-season, Hadel mid-season in 74. Didn't play much through 11 passes in 73. 75, he gets banged up. 76, he's battling with Hayden and Jaworski. Never really gets a chance. It's like, hey, maybe let's just settle down and let's just let Harris have a shot here. And they never really did. I am a James Harris guy. Manuel Vasquez. Hopefully they bring back Cooper Kupp on the same day retirement contract like Holt. I can see that happening. I do. I definitely see that happening. I think the Rams have been very gracious. Heck, they gave a Super Bowl ring to Deshaun Jackson. I think they'll find a way to bring in an honor Cooper Kupp when it's all said and done. All right, real quick here. Tom Dempsey passed away on this day in 2020. He was 73 years old, okay? Remember Tom Dempsey, kicker for the Rams? Now, if you don't remember him for the Rams because you guys aren't old, he's the guy that set the long-standing record of a 63-yard field goal in 1970 that helped the Saints beat the Detroit Lions. And that thing stood for 30-plus years, right? That was the gold standard, 63 yards, right? And it was at a time when the goalpost was at the goal line. So to kick a 63-yarder, he's kicking from the other side of the 50. It was pretty interesting stuff. I didn't see it live, of course, just saw the highlights. And of course, Tom Dempsey had half a foot. He had a disabled, shortened arm. And so he had limits, right? He had limits. And so he was a great story. And when the Rams acquired him, They retired him on April 22nd, 1975 from the Eagles. I was ecstatic. I thought it was great. So the Rams sent a 4th-round pick to the Eagles for Tom Dempsey. Now, Dempsey played 2 years with the Rams with mixed results, right? One of my sadder things that you'll ever see is when the Vikings Nate Allen blocks the Rams kick in the NFC Championship game in '76, and Bobby Bryant returns it for a touchdown. You see Tom Dempsey, bless his heart, who can't run, trying to run after Bobby Bryant. And it's like, man, that dude had a lot of heart, right? But his 2 seasons with the Rams, in retrospect, very mixed results. Loses his job in '77 to Ralphie Alseptian, who wasn't great, but he was consistent. Then in '78 through '81, the Rams had Frank Corral, and then morphed into Mike Lansford in '82. Anyway, so the Rams sent a 4th-round pick to the Eagles for Tom Dempsey. That 4th-round pick of the Rams was traded by the Eagles to the Green Bay Packers. Okay, no big deal. What am I getting at? The Packers then traded that same 4th-round pick that went from the Rams to the Eagles to Green Bay. The Packers put that 4th-round pick together in 1976, along with John Hadle, former Ram, Ken Ellis, and a 3rd-round pick, and sent it to the Houston Oilers for quarterback Lynn Dickey. That 3rd-round pick became a pretty good fullback that I think our friend Willie Bowen would really like, named Tim Wilson. So the Packers got Lynn Dickey. So what became of that 4th-round pick? Well, the Oilers took that 4th-round pick that started in Los Angeles, went to Philadelphia, up to Green Bay, and then was sent in the Lynn Dickey, John Hadle deal down to Houston. The Oilers used that pick, 117 overall, for a wide receiver that flamed out in camp. They waived him, and then they brought him back before eventually trading him to the Seattle Seahawks for an 8th-round pick. Does anyone know who that receiver is? That receiver is Hall of Famer Steve Largent. So that is how I tie Tom Dempsey and the Rams to Steve Largent, Hall of Famer. Steve Largent would have been fun to have for the Rams. There you go. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Okay, let's see. I think we're good. I think we got it all in. Maybe, yeah, we only went 40 minutes. Unless you guys have a truckload of questions to do for the next 8 minutes, I think we're good. I don't know if we're going to get to the 50-minute mark today. Thanks for letting me nerd out on that Rams history. That pick the Rams traded for Tom Dempsey ultimately turned into a Hall of Fame wide receiver by the name of Steve Largent, and an NFL United States congressman as well. I think he served in Congress for a couple of terms too. So, okay, let's I got everything out. Yeah, everything's out. I got it all out. All right. Anyone got any questions? Anyone want to hang a little bit? If not, I think we're good. It's Friday night. My refrigerator died today. I'm not holding a funeral for it. I'm just gonna, throw it out the door and curse it and stuff. So I'm going to get that taken care of. Be sure to check us out on Spotify from the RamCave. Do appreciate you guys buying my books. Do appreciate you guys clicking on. Please check us out at midvalleysports.com. And I will drop that in there one more time. Check us out there for some content, Ram stuff, my column on FanView. And I think we're good. Gilbert Gonzalez, what are your thoughts on Madame Ram? Gilbert Gonzalez, what do I think of Madame Ram? I think she killed the team. I think she killed the team. I do. I mean, honestly, who leaves LA for St. Louis? If you really, really think about it, who leaves LA for, I don't care what deal. You were in Anaheim. Anaheim would have dealt with you. L.A. Coliseum Commission was a joke, but Anaheim would have dealt with you. So, yeah, I don't think much of Madame Ram. But I know some people that said she was very kind to them. So, TC88, quick question. Do you think we'll trade out of the first round? We're going to trade back. I like that trade with the Eagles. They gave the Rams number 32. I think the Rams want to trade out, right? But Steve Ramirez, former sports writer, he's the one that brought it up in last show, is that, yeah, a lot of teams want to trade out because the draft's not deep and it's too expensive to get close enough to where you're going to get a great breakout player. But it's going to be hard getting buyers, right, to be hard getting buyers. So I think the Rams want to trade out. I have no problem with them trading out. Again, because we wait for draft day, I would be disappointed if most of that draft capital showed up on in 2026. I know a year goes by really fast, but I like draft day, and I want to see who the Rams are going to grab. A lot of opportunity for depth. Gilbert Gonzalez and her husband. Well, if you're talking Dominic Frontiere, I think I brought it up on Wednesday. I didn't need all the other stuff to come up to know that Carol Rosenblum dies just at the time Steve Rosenblum's left out of the will. That one was suspicious. Okay. She fires Steve Rosenblum, and a year later, she marries Dominic Frontiere, who was her voice coach or something like that. And he had mob ties. So stuff about that just very suspicious. And then that just seemed like something stinks here. And then what happens after that is all the news kind of breaks out that, Rosenblum would never have gone swimming. He wasn't a great swimmer, the bad heart. There was just all kinds of different things there that came out. And it also felt a little bit like the plot to Heaven Can Wait. So yeah, there was some interesting stuff there that's still hard to get through. You look back and you realize in the 80s, we never stood a chance. Even though John Robinson brought some life, Eric Dickerson was there, but you just looked at what the Rams were doing, and it was so JV compared to what the varsity 49ers were doing. We weren't in the same sphere. All the missed draft picks. Yeah, they scored a few here and there, but, John Shaw's involvement in things, it was bad. And again, you look back and you say, we never had a chance. It's like looking back now. When you're a kid, when you're younger, you want to believe in the team and that Pat Hayden's going to get it done. And he's just as good as any other quarterback. But you look at that now and it's like, oh man, we never had a chance, right? Even with those great teams that were going into those playoff games with Pat Hayden. Vince Ferragamo had the talent, right? And it showed, right? That he can make those big throws when you need them. Kind of like Stafford, right? You can replace Stafford, like all that stupid talk about replacing Stafford with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers doesn't make any risky throws anymore. He doesn't make any big-time throws. He throws safe passes. Stafford, you can see, puts balls in places like, dude, what are you doing? Oh, great throw, right? He winds up, he sends it downfield. Oh, that's a great throw. Great job. That's just what Stafford is. That's what Ferragamo was on a smaller scale in 79 and in that postseason, is that you had a shot. And we didn't have a shot when Pat Hayden was there. We just didn't. So there we go. Manny Vasquez. It was shady from the get-go with Frontiere. Absolutely. Everything okay, Joe? Everything is good. Just blew up my fridge, man. Fortunately, I got a backup fridge, but man, just blew up my fridge. I got to go out and buy ice now. All right. I'm good. All right, guys, I'm going to let you go. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate your support. Hit like, hit subscribe, share this with your friends. We want to grow. God bless.